Dick's Sporting Goods raising its 2024 outlook with net sales and adjusted EPS looking better than analysts had projected amid strong demand for sporting goods. Now, this comes as the retailer bucks the broader consumer pullback trend. Still, shares not responding too positively here to the beat and raise. So joining us now to discuss, we've got John Kernan, TD Cowen Managing Director of Retail and Consumer Brands. It's great to speak with you here. So I'm just taking a look at your note, John, and you talk about this idea that we are in a struggling kind of macro backdrop for the industry. What is Dick's doing that is allowing them to buck that trend?
They're outperforming peers pretty significantly, both on a sales basis and gross margin basis. Specifically, they're getting better allocations from the top vendors, and their store experience far exceeds their competitors. So that's where they're winning, on experience, product, and engagement with the consumer.
I mean, who didn't love the store experience growing up with Dick's? I mean, you get in there, you run around the track a couple times, you test out the shoes here. What's changing so fundamentally here for a company that you said just won back to school season?
Yeah, they were a winner in back to school, for sure. Their same-store sales up nearly 5%. In Q2 were well above the sporting goods category sales that we saw throughout the quarter, based on some industry sources. So they're a big share gainer. In terms of why they're gaining share, the product allocations from key vendors have gotten so much better. The vendors have recognized that the consumer values Dick's, they can value the shopping experience in Dick's, and management's doing a tremendous job in merchandising and supply chain to flow through very high full price sales. So the store experience has gotten better since we were kids. It will continue to. They've got 20 new House of Sport stores opened by the end of this year, and we think that's a incremental growth avenue for them that'll generate very high returns.
How are some of the brands that weren't necessarily around when we were kids, John, like ONON, for example, and Deckers with the Hoka shoes, how are they fueling any of the action that we might be seeing in Dick's balance sheet right now?
Yeah, it's definitely driving traffic and conversion in store, particularly in footwear. And footwear has been a big driver of their same-store sales the last, say, year and a half. For instance, in 2023, the footwear category itself drove about 2/3 of Dick's total same-store sales gains. So ONON and Hoka are playing a big role in that. Nike, Dick's is one of the few areas they're growing in the U.S. That Nike's Dick's business was up 10% last year over year. So footwear and footwear allocations from key vendors have really improved here. Hoka and ONON have been big contributors to that.
Is there one sport that's putting the team on its back right now, John, when you think about the success and the growth that you've seen and expect and anticipate to continue to be the case at Dick's?
Yeah, the Olympics were a great moment. That came and went. I think Dick's continues to engage with athletes, male and female, across a lot of different age groups, income demographics, and they're winning in a lot of different sports. It's not just one sport. Dick's has become synonymous with sport, the changing seasons of sport, and the younger consumer, I think, is really taken to Dick's store experience and allocations.
It's just so fascinating to me that you keep saying store experience, and I keep thinking that I have never once walked into a store. Like, I just don't do that anymore. John, what is the advice that Dick's should be giving to other retailers in the space that are still struggling with foot traffic?
Now, Dick's has invested heavily in their store base. They're spending $800 million a year this year on CapEx. It's almost double what they were spending several years ago. Now they're using a lot of that to build out their new stores, their next-gen stores, what they're going to call field house stores, and their House of Sport stores, their largest expression of sport. And that's driving better engagement with consumers. The vendors want in on square footage in those stores, and the landlords want Dick's in their top locations. So store experience matters, omni-channel execution matters, and Dick's is winning in those regards.
A Dick's Field House, my goodness, I can't even imagine that. I can't wait to see as well how that plays out for the company. It's really easy to just go spend hours in Golf Galaxy, I suppose, especially as you're trying to figure out what's right for you. But ultimately, we'll see how this all fares for Dick's. John Kernan, thanks so much for taking the time here with us this morning. Certainly. TD Cowen, Managing Director for Retail and Consumer Brands. We'll talk to you later.